Hey guys, alright, we're back. Part 2. Like I said, this is not your glamorous favorite TikToker get ready with me. This is just real, honest, girl next door talk. Like, we're just neighbors out on the back porch talking and having coffee together, right? Like, morning debrief, okay? So, anyway, like I was saying, I am just super grateful that I am where I am in my life. I've lived with my dad for like 7 years now, and I'm sure there's going to be all kinds of comments about that. I'm sure, people have their opinions, whatever, but this is who I am, this is where I'm at, this is my life. It is what it is, okay? And I don't live here for free. I don't, I work, I provide just as much as he does, but my point is, it's like the hard part now in my life is I have parents who are getting older, especially my dad. Even my brother noticed it this weekend that my dad is not doing well. He's just not doing well. He is stubborn as they come. And you can't tell him nothing. And he's been an alcoholic his whole life. Me and my dad's relationship was very hard for a long time because he was an alcoholic most of my life. He is an alcoholic. He's still an alcoholic. And, but honestly, again, like I said, since I have healed and grown and just started seeing people as people with their own messed up lives and childhoods and things that affected them, my dad did not have an easy life. My dad was the youngest out of 11 kids. His dad died in really weird ways. When maybe we should do that as a series. Like, that would be so interesting to see if I can crack the code of what happened to my dad's dad, because nobody really knows, and that's a whole nother story time. But my dad had a really hard life, and I'm not gonna that's his story, and I'm not gonna spread that on the internet, but I've just grown to accept that he is who he is. He had the same choice as all of us to continue on the path he was on or go a different course, and he chose to just keep going down the path that was most familiar to him. And I can totally understand that. I can totally understand. And you have to remember the generation that he grew up in. There was no therapy, there was no talking about your feelings, there was none of that. And while I think we've done a disservice to our the millennial and younger generation of maybe doing that a little too much, I also feel like there's a lot more space to just be to stand up for yourself finally, and just be when you say that, it feels like you're dismissing me and you're dismissing my experience. And while I'm not saying that maybe you didn't have a different experience than me, this is the experience that I had, and I'm allowed to my experience. It doesn't mean that one of us has to be wrong. It just means we've experienced it in two different ways. I don't understand what is so hard for people to grasp this concept of nobody has to be wrong. And you see it in these families that they've been doing the same thing the same way for so long, and even though there's a bunch of trauma beneath the surface, nobody ever speaks of it. Nobody ever talks about it. Nobody ever says anything. They just keep going along to get along. And dude, you can totally feel that energy. You can feel that energy. You can spot it as soon as you see it. You can, and I feel like, unfortunately, because I am the way that I am, and I could never do that, I still can't do that. My family has been forced to, sometimes against their will, to acknowledge that there is a problem here. And if we want to stay together and like this as a family, then we got to talk about this crap. Like, we can't just shove it down and pretend like it's not there. And honestly, it has helped. Like, I look at other families now, and while my family may be dysfunctional as fuck sometimes, like, no joke, there is true love and loyalty and respect there. At least on my part, there is. For my parents, for my brother, for his family, for, you know, like, and I just feel like that's because I refuse to just sit down and shut up. Like, when I had a problem, we were going to talk about it. And so, I don't know. I feel like that really makes a difference. But my whole point of all this is basically just to say, like, look, if you're somebody on here that is 38 and you're thinking, man, my life does not look like I thought it was going to look at 38. I feel like I am behind. I feel like, you know, all the things. Just start observing the people around you and where they're at mentally, regardless of what their status or whatever looks like to the outside world. Observe the person. Just observe the person. And I guarantee you, you're going to walk away from that feeling a whole lot better about your situation. And just know that it doesn't matter how the hell old you are. We have the choice to do something different with our lives. We have the choice to do something that nobody before us had the guts to do. And that's to heal. That is to put yourself in a position in life where you are genuinely living on purpose, with a purpose. And while, you know, we're always going to go through things and evolve and change, you know, none of us have fully arrived until we get to heaven, right? But I feel like you can get to a place in your life where it's just like Joe DiMessina said, my give a damn's busted. Like, I no longer care what other people think. I'm going to do what I think is best for me and mine. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And the people who truly care about you will stay. They will stay, and they will try to see where you're coming from and understand and want to get to know you, the new version of you. And the ones that don't, won't. They'll leave, and that's fine, because you don't need them types of people in your life anyway. So just know you got this. We got this. We can do this. Like, I really feel like my 40s are going to be some of the best years of my life, because I am just, for no other reason than I am just in such a much different place mentally than I have ever been before. And for that, I am so, so beyond grateful. All right, have a good day. Catch up later. Talk to you then. Goodbye.